All right, we're behind the scenes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you're watching
all
us.
of it, all of that, all of the things. All right, well, I think we're on what now? Podcast like 19 or 20?
Probably.
Something like that. I can't even keep track anymore. There's been so many.
Absolutely.
This is amazing. All right, well, here.
Yeah, hit the record button and let's
go.
do it.
You know what? If I hit the record button, it's going to come out even better.
That's always
Once
great.
again. Yeah. it's
Oh, I was
very-
watching.
Yeah. He's like, all right, Kelly, we've been down that road before.
Hello.
All right. Hello. Here we are. Okay. Let's do it.
In the know in the 920.
Your little jam. Took me forever to pick out this intro music. It just never gets old for
That was
me.
crispy.
You know?
I liked it
Like
a lot.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I have a problem with like too many choices, in my life. So like right now, I know this is going to sound, this is such a big problem,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like we're redoing our bathroom. So it's picking out new faucets and things like that. And my husband will be like, here, can you look at this book of 7,000 faucets and choose one? And I'm like, can you like narrow it down to like 4 for me? Because I can't.
Yeah.
So that's what this was. He was like, here's 70 million intro music options. And I mean, I listened to them for hours, hours to find the perfect one.
Well, that's
I don't know if it's the perfect one, but it feels right.
how it used to be back in the day, picking a ringtone. Remember, like back when people still like had their phones
For
on?
sure, you had to have the perfect ringtone.
Yeah.
It cost you 99 cents to like $3.
Yeah.
It was very important when you were in
That's
high school.
true.
You didn't have much money. You had to make sure
Correct.
the pick was perfect.
It
and
did. You
obviously
couldn't
it was Nelly or
you
50
could not
Cent
go
or something.
back. Yes, of course. Well, we are so excited to have you here. So we're here with Landon Rankin.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here. Rankin Photography.
Yes, very excited to be here. Thank you.
I am so happy to have you. I love, as I was telling you before we started, just talking about and promoting small businesses throughout the community. And I've been there, done that, and still doing it. And maybe I'll win the lottery someday, but otherwise I'll be here.
Maybe.
So, Landon, tell us all about you, where you started. Start with your birth. No, I'm just kidding. But, where you, maybe education, what you've done, where you are today, all the fun things.
Sure. Well, it all started. It was a dark, stormy night, 1942.
love it.
I'm just kidding.
Love it.
No, I grew up in a small town, Wapaka.
Okay.
Moved up here to Appleton. I've worked factories. I've worked pretty much everything across, the board
Yeah.
for jobs my
done
whole
it
life.
all.
But I've always loved photography.
Yeah.
I was always super into it, and like taking pictures of my cell phone. Eventually, finally went out and bought a camera.
Sure.
We did it.
Yeah.
But the more I started getting into it, I started getting into weddings and that kind of stuff. And I
Sure.
started really liking it. And then
Yep.
I went and finally shot my first wedding, and
Yep.
it was awful.
Well, as soon as you said wedding, I was like, oh, I have so many things I can
Here's the
ask
fun
you
part,
about
though.
that.
I love weddings.
You do?
I'm a huge sap. So like
Okay.
when we get in there and everyone's getting emotional and everyone's
Sure.
getting sad, I'm like, this
You
is
love it.
gold. This
Okay.
is what I live for. I love
Okay.
capturing those moments,
Sure.
like candid style.
Yeah.
Nothing beats a candid photo. Like you
I
get
would agree with
someone's
you on that.
real personality, that's where it's at.
I would agree with you on that. I am so over like the whole, Olin Mills stage,
The hyper-realistic-
Penny's like, let's all stand.
Those- I think we should bring those back. We need to open another Sears. We need to get Sears back in
Right.
business if they're out and bring back the photo center. Those were important. Those
Absolutely.
terrible backgrounds,
Those are
the awful
so
poses.
great. Oh my gosh. And I love it how nowadays, like a lot of people do those for like funsy pictures. You know what I mean?
Which is ironic.
Like my broker, our broker Brandon, he did that. Him and his wife Jenny and their kids. They did one where they were like kind of stacked, like all their heads were just like sticking.
That's so
It
good.
was so great.
That's
It was
so good.
so great. They got it blown up into this big giant painting just for fun. But okay, so you love doing weddings.
I do love doing weddings,
That's
yes.
awesome.
But no, the first one I ever shot, I shot for a photographer because I
Okay.
was getting started. You don't
You're like
go
the
on your
second shooter. Is that what it's
own.
called?
No, so we went out. It was me and my
Second
wife. We went out and shot the wedding. I was the first shooter. She was the second. Like this was
Okay.
100% us.
See, Nick,
And-
I knew what I was talking about.
Oh yeah, you were in the
First
pocket.
shooter, second shooter.
But you were saying it like a JFK kind
yeah,
of thing.
right. No,
There's a second shooter.
none of that.
But no, remember when you go out, when you are starting, you go as the second shooter. Like
Yep.
the guy who runs it is the main guy. He's getting all the photos. You're there
Sure.
to kind of get the background stuff, catch stuff he may have missed, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
learn. But we went out and did the whole thing because, at that point I knew what I was doing. But we got a couple they were very interesting. And All I can say is by the time we got to the photos of the wedding party, they had told us, we're just going to tell you what to do. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm only the guy behind the camera that can see everything and know how all this is framed, but you're right.
You're like, okay.
You go ahead and let this ride. So somehow that whole first wedding, which was a mess, it ended up getting decent photos. It worked out good, but like that could have killed the whole thing for me. But the love of shooting
they were a little like Bridezilla-esque?
The best part was it wasn't the bride or groom.
Okay.
It was the maid of honor.
Oh.
She definitely took control of the day, even though like
she felt it was her duty to, you know what, I'm going to make sure that everything goes right for them, and I'm going to really just take charge.
Yeah, so
I understand.
When you run on that your first wedding, you're a little bit. So that's what weddings are like. I don't think I ever want to do this again.
Yeah.
For some reason, I stuck to it because, I don't make smart decisions. And now I shoot weddings a lot because
I love that.
Once you get past it's a lot of hurdles. When you're dealing with people, you're dealing with weddings, you're dealing with that level of just
it's
stress.
A big emotions, the whole thing, and it's their big day.
Take it all with a grain, just a grain of sand.
Just 15 years ago, I had my wedding,
just
my big day.
Short years ago.
My big day featuring Bill as a, he was a guest role. No, but that's where I was going with that, because I just feel like, holy cow, dealing with the general public can always be interesting, but dealing with people that are getting married, it takes a special kind of person.
See, I like to go in there and just be the stress relief. Like, you got a problem? Reach out to me. I'm available. As soon as I'm booked, I'm at your call.
Yeah.
Like, anytime until the wedding, you need something changed, you need something done, whatever.
That's so great.
Well, it's because, like, you got enough going on. You shouldn't have to worry about the people you're hiring to do the job you're hiring them to do. That's, like, the reason you're hiring them in the first place. So I like to be a problem solver, not another stress.
Yeah. I love that. And I feel like we have another client here for you.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
This one's getting married.
Wow, how serendipitous that I'm here now.
I know, weird, hey?
Putting me on the spot.
Well,
I was going to say, at this point, let's just photograph him or hire him to photograph our move to the new building, and then he can just, grab a couple boxes. He said he's on call.
He's on call for us.
Here's the thing. I'm paid by the hour. If you want to take a couple photos and throw some boxes in a truck, it is what it is.
Well, so we're moving to a different building in the near future, which is really exciting. Brandon and Jenny bought a new building, and they did this building, and Jenny Landro is like the queen of design, so we know it's going to be amazing. But there's one little problem. This little creation, this little background, for those of you that are watching, you see this little grass wall. Well, we didn't adhere it to the actual wall. It's on a frame, okay? So it comes apart.
Kind of.
But my husband was measuring it the last time he was here, and he goes, ooh, I don't think this piece is going to make it through the door. And I'm like, well, that's really cool.
Time for a whole new...
That's going to be fun.
It's two, wooden triangles, and then all of this, fake grass is, zip tied to all the wood. So pretty much the entire thing needs to come apart piece by piece.
It's going to be really great.
I'm sure it'll be super
So,
easy.
if you want to take some pictures of us moving, you said you'll be at our beck and call. So,
Yeah, maybe some black and white, make it really emotional.
Yeah, really emotional moving
really
photos.
feeling it in the heart.
Yes.
Those strings a little bit.
Walking away, pictures of us walking away from the building for the last time. And
I'll get a photo as far back in here as I can of you looking through the glass door just as sad as possible. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
One tear rolling down the cheek.
Really oversell this.
Oh my gosh, I love it. We have been in this building for many years, so it'll be a little sad, but we're also very excited about the new spot. Anyways, enough about us. Back to you. So, you love doing weddings. How many weddings do you think you've done?
Too
Roughly.
many.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I honestly I don't really keep track.
Okay.
Every time I get booked for a wedding, I'm excited.
Yeah, you like it.
I like it.
You still like it to this day.
I just enjoy the whole feeling, the vibe, everything about you.
What's the most fun wedding you've ever done? Or unique, or just something that stands out? First thing that comes to your mind.
First thing that comes to mind. Honestly, all of the weddings have been pretty in the pocket. There hasn't been anything that's been too wild that I can really step out, which is not a bad thing. Ever since, the first speed bump out of the gate.
Right. Yep.
I've had a lot of fun. I haven't had any weddings that, there wasn't any crazy,
no crazy drunken people?
Once I leave... Whatever happens. I'm only there till 9 or 10.
There you go.
So those last couple hours.
Right. You're like, bye.
But no, you get those nights where you got Uncle Mike doing the worm across the floor, and everyone starts getting a little fun. But we're in Wisconsin. All of our weddings are we do the nice ceremony. Then we go hang out and eat dinner, and then we get really drunk. That's just the Wisconsin way. So that's
the way it
how they
is.
are. And I since the beginning, I've had nothing but great people.
That's
like, I
awesome.
love connecting with them. Shooting
Yeah.
with them. It's been a lot of fun.
That's
but
really cool. So how many years ago did you kind of start that?
I bought my first camera in 2012. I think it was
Okay.
2013 or 14. I shot my first wedding,
Very cool.
and then ever since then, it's always been a kind of back burner hobby that I would have loved to
Sure.
turn into a career. But when you're, how old was I then? 2012. I was 22
Yeah.
years old. You're not really
Yep.
thinking about starting your own thing. You're like, I need to get somewhere. I got health insurance.
I
I
need to,
gotta prepare for
I
my
need to
future.
get a paycheck
Exactly.
every
I
other
got
week,
bills to pay.
please.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I totally understand. So, okay, so you do weddings. What other kind of cool stuff are you doing?
Another one I do, I'm a media ambassador for Road America. So all their events there, I'm there photographing for the track, which is very cool.
Okay.
I've shot Grid Life, which was a really fun one. There was a big drift event. EDM DJs, just a whole weekend like that. I was just up there for IMSA last weekend, which is a huge racing circuit.
Okay.
And that one was really cool, getting on Victory Lane and everything, getting to photograph all
Yeah.
the winners and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really cool
really
event. And getting
cool.
to shoot. This is what I always say when it comes to shooting at that level, when you're shooting professionals. The coolest part of it is being able to photograph somebody doing something at the pinnacle of the game. Like, go and watching these drivers who are the best in the world do their thing at that level is the coolest thing to
Yeah,
watch.
that is really cool.
Because we all talk about, you get committed to stuff. You want to be the one that's, you got to stay committed to it. It's like these guys spent their whole life and rose to the top. So to watch somebody at the best, at the top of their game doing something is the coolest thing to me.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Another thing I do, I occasionally go on, I run broadcast camera for professional fishing.
Okay.
And
Well, that's
Wow.
cool.
yeah, it's a fun one. But it's the MPFL is the fishing league I go for.
Sure.
But it's the same thing with that. I'm not personally a big fisher myself. I
Yeah.
know I'm in Wisconsin. I'm not a big fisherman. Don't hurt me. But
Shame on you.
I love going and doing it because it's
Yeah.
the same thing. To go to these
Yeah.
professionals, watch them fish
Yeah.
at the highest level. Like, you go out in the water with granddaddy and he's like trashed by 2 p.m. because he brought the 6-pack with him.
Right.
That's way different fishing with worms than you got these guys
Sure.
out there with $100,000 boats
serious.
with the best gear in the world
Yeah.
doing their thing. And I actually watched a grown man fall to his knees because he missed the third fish, and I'm like, that right there is the reason this is so cool, because this is their whole life.
Yeah.
They've committed everything to fishing and being the best.
Yeah.
So when they screw up, it hits them harder than anybody else. Like it's really cool to just sit and watch.
Yeah.
Watch people at the
I was
top.
gonna say, so it seems like you really, and I love that you enjoy like watching people in their most like exciting moments.
Well,
and
it's a really
pinnacle
special moment.
moments.
You
yeah.
only get that a couple times in your life
For
when you get
sure.
to feel like this day is all about me, or like
Yep.
this is my moment.
Yeah.
It's only a few times you get that. So to be able to capture somebody in that moment, it's really cool to me.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. So yeah, so you've been at this for quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause that's right around when I started residential real estate as well.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Very cool.
Just about 100 years ago or so.
Yeah, no, I always had it as a back burner job. Occasional wedding here,
Sure.
do family photos, all that. Just fun stuff to do. And
Yeah.
then it was in 2019, right before the world got really cool. 2019, we had our firstborn. I was
Okay.
running CNC machines at the time.
Okay.
And the place basically messed up what they were supposed to do with me, and I ended up leaving to stay home with their daughter.
Sure.
And my wife was the one that was working at the time.
Okay.
So that went great for a while, and then after a year of that, I was like, okay, staying home's awesome. I need to get out and go do something.
Yeah.
So I ended up just searching through the internet, try to find some side job I could do while raising the kid. And I found this wild job where I just go to car dealerships and take pictures of their inventory for them.
Oh, sure.
I'm like, oh, this is on Indeed. It's one of those jobs you show
Yeah.
up. It's, the more you work, the less you make. One of those jobs. It ended up being really good.
Sure.
And it was a great middle ground job where I
Yeah.
don't have a schedule, but as long as the work's getting done,
Yep.
no one complains. I was
That's
like, okay, this
great.
is kind of nice, and it actually
Great
was
with
enough
the
money to
baby
like
and yeah.
support us a bit. So that's how it started. And then after a while, COVID hit. Dun dun. The world changed, and after 2 years, 2021, the chip issue that hit all the cars killed that. Because we weren't getting cars anymore. So no used cars were getting traded in, no new cars were coming over because we weren't
Sure,
getting any.
sure.
So that started to dry up.
Okay.
Around that time, I was working at N&M running forklift because, like I said, I've worked so many jobs over the years trying to
Yeah.
pull into this one. It just,
Right.
but I was doing that, and then all of a sudden I got reached out by a buddy. They're like, hey, this place is looking for a digital person.
Okay.
I was like, all right, cool. So I
Yeah.
threw my application. I'm like, I got an idea. So I threw my resume and drove right over there immediately.
That's
I threw
awesome.
the application online, and I was like,
Yeah.
hey, can you guys, I just threw my application. I'm super interested in the job. Can you, explain, talk me through it and everything? And I don't know if the initiative or not was something to push it, but went and talked to them for a little bit. They ended up bringing me for an interview right then.
That's awesome.
I got the job.
Perfect.
Woo, I was stoked.
love it.
Now I'm in
Yeah.
digital. I got some ground under my feet.
Sure.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We did that for a year. We had our second child in 2022.
Okay.
Yes, I'm trying to. My wife's gonna kill me if I get that wrong. No, we had our second child at the end of 2022.
Right after
She
this, we'll
turns
be
2
asking
this
for
year.
your wedding anniversary date.
24, 23. Yeah, so I'm just trying to make sure I get it. But so we had her, and then my wife got laid off the beginning of the next year. Her job
Okay.
changed. She got left. But we realized, this works out. Actually trying to pay for a babysitter
Sure.
and for us both to work was more
insane.
efficient than just letting her stay home
Yes.
and me working.
Yep.
So we locked down that, and we're like,
Sure.
great. A couple months later,
Yeah.
I get canned. They canned our entire department. I was like, well, that's a real bummer. And but when that happened, because things had been going kind of a little more in my direction, as in I'm running my own ship,
Sure.
I kind of sat back and talked to the wife. I was like, listen, babe, when it comes down to work, I can either go and keep working for somebody under the false pretenses that I'm safe. They'll take care of my insurance. They'll take care of my taxes, blah, 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 blah. And I have a safe place to work. Or we can kind of take a little bit of a risk here, and I just do my own thing.
Right.
She looked at me and said, do your own thing. I was like, all right.
I love it.
Not too long after that, I got reached out by that one company to start running broadcast camera. They had somebody, they called me, this is the weirdest part. As you go through life and you meet people, you don't even realize you're networking until
Sure.
5 years later after you
Right.
sold a guy a car. You get a call going, hey man, we just had a camera guy drop out. Can you come to Oklahoma tomorrow?
Right.
Tomorrow.
You're like, oh, okay.
They're like, yeah. And I'm like, I looked at her and she nodded at me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, man, I can do it. And ever since I've been able to run with them.
Yeah.
Then when we all got fired from that digital media job, I'm like, well, there's so many small businesses out here that can't afford media departments. Like, it's a lot of money to bring someone in, pay them, even if it's just one guy just to run your Facebook. But the fact
Like
of the
you
matter,
were just saying that to us before we started, and I was like, you are preaching to the choir.
well, and the fact of the matter is, you
Yes.
need to have some type of online presence. But we've gotten so deep into it that it's misconstrued. Like, you feel like you have to be following every trend. You have to be on every single. You don't.
Yes.
A small, hardcore following is 10 times better than a gigantic, I care about you now, I don't care about you in a week. Just what's the phrase for it? The fly by night, or the whatever the phrase is.
Yeah.
The people that are just there passively.
Sure.
Or you just get a like here and there. But if you have people that are always engaging, so I looked at it, I'm like, I could start helping these small businesses if they need a digital person. I actually saw your sign, in the know in the 9-2.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had a little one I completely forgot. I'm a little nervous on camera, and I'm not going to lie.
Great.
I think it was the digital guy on the fly. Something
love
like that,
that.
where it's just like, you got an event coming up, you have something important you're trying to push, or you want, some type of Facebook, some type of someone running it for you, but you don't have the resources to bring somebody in to do it. You got an event coming up, bring me in to just help it out. I'll monitor all your
Yeah.
socials, help push it, I'll make sure it gets run properly, and when it's
Sure.
done, you're done.
That's awesome.
Simple in and out, and that way you don't have to commit to, bringing hiring a
Right.
new person,
hiring
that type
somebody
of
and
stuff.
having them on your staff.
So
yeah.
I thought, instead of going just freelance photography and videography, let's go freelance digital media as well for those people that might have a little bit of interest in that.
Sure.
Because who knows?
Well, I have a lot of interest because it's definitely. Let's just back it up a sec. What you were saying about trying to, I feel like we live in this world of everybody's an influencer, and there's some that are honestly really, really good at it and making
there are.
lots and lots of money off of it. And,
Definitely.
And I think then, but then everybody wants to do that. And so you're constantly like trying to keep up with these trends. And it's like, for the longest time it was Facebook. Now it's, it's Facebook, but it's Instagram and it's TikTok, right?
Yep.
And like people are like, you gotta start. We have like a Kelly Davies Homes team account on TikTok. I don't know that we've ever done anything more than that with it.
There was a video made on that account
Did
about
we make one?
3 years ago.
Okay, great.
I think
Yeah.
it got about 80 likes.
Cool, awesome. It's so hard to, as the everyday like person, a business person, to do all of that and manage all of that. It's like I don't have that kind of time.
It's a lot. And as I've,
Helicopter?
I think
might be a
also there are
helicopter.
people, just for everyone listening, for all of our fans, There's a helicopter circling the building.
Oh, they found us.
That was very loud.
Yeah, it
Only
was.
be good. It can only be good.
Yeah. Only good. So, okay, so like that's the kind of thing you can do.
Yes.
You can like manage my whole life, pretty much.
Something like that.
Okay.
But
cool.
also, and I've been in I used to stream on all that. I'm
Yeah.
way too into technology, but I've been in
No,
this
that's
world for a
awesome.
long time,
Yeah.
unprofessionally, like
Yeah.
trying to monitor and get
Sure.
through Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But one thing I've realized is that what's your goal?
Mm-hmm.
What's your goal? Like, are you trying to run a business? Why are you on TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to get picked up by these companies to be a brand ambassador to sell their stuff for them?
Mm-hmm.
Are you what's your goal? So it's like when people say I need to be on Instagram, TikTok, everything, it's like no, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
What's me personally? I focus only on Facebook
Sure.
because that's where my main businesses ran through.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is my bag because I'm a photographer. I like being able to show stuff, and I
Yeah.
post it on Facebook too. But Instagram is big for that. But
Yep.
when it comes to YouTube videos, I only post there occasionally if I think it's something worth posting. I don't just fill it with
Sure.
copy paste, copy paste, copy
Mm-hmm.
paste. Because one thing that's been lost in this world that I think is very important and will help it slowly come back is authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
We all run off fads.
Yeah.
Fads are the biggest thing ever. It's like we get a new video on TikTok, everyone's got to make their version.
Everybody's got to
So,
have that for. Yep. That's so
great
true.
and all, but like eventually, I just to the point where it's like copy paste, copy paste. We don't care about any of this. So where I think the world's heading right now, especially with the way AI is coming,
Mm-hmm.
everything's pushing towards the perfect society. Everything is perfect. Everything is as high quality as possible because we have all this stuff pushing it to be a little bit better, a little bit better. But at the end of the day, it's getting so streamlined and it's the same stuff over and over again.
Sure.
That authenticity, the human factor, is going to start coming back to being what everyone wants.
Mm-hmm.
So if you run just Facebook and Instagram and you make a couple YouTube videos every once in a while, or you're running, you want to have like just a funny personality online, and you have your TikTok. That's really all you need. Because if you get, like I said, one strong following, even if it's only 10,000 people, that beats 10 million followers that don't care about anything. Like
That's
you can
true.
show those numbers to people, but
Right.
when you have 10 million followers and you're getting 300 likes,
Yeah.
that's the real issue. Is okay, statistically,
Right.
you're not 300 people are looking at your thing.
That's right.
So that's why
Exactly.
where I've been going personally is authenticity is huge. Don't be on every platform. Don't copy every fad. If you want to do it to have fun, go have fun. That's the biggest issue is have fun. I mean, you got, like you were saying, there's the people that are great brand ambassadors.
Yeah.
Look at Charlie Barron's or the Bush Light guy.
Yes.
Those two started just being funny Midwesterners, and they did a darn good job at it.
Yeah.
Then they were able to implement brand deals and everything, but they didn't lose who they were. They didn't sell out to the brands. They still do the same videos they always did, just at a much higher level, and I respect that.
point.
That right there is
I
the
agree
proof
with
of
you.
find a lane,
Yeah.
stick to it, and follow it. Don't try to chase everyone else's goals. Chase your goals.
Right.
Which is get lost. It's hard for smaller businesses to keep that mindset because Adidas, Nike, Apple, they have such gigantic departments that do that stuff.
Huge budgets. They can do all of that.
They have all the
Yeah.
gear, every piece of technology you could want, everything you could want to do every platform they want
Mm-hmm.
the best way. Normal people like us, we don't have that option. We do the
Mm-hmm.
best we can with what we got, and I think it's a matter of time before that authenticity starts
I like
shining
that.
through.
No, and that's a really good point because you're right. It's so easy to get so caught up in, again, in this digital and social media world that we live in. Like, I do all the time. I sit here and I'm like, I could literally work 24 hours a day
Just on
with
your phone.
all the ideas that I have that run through my head and then things that I see other people doing. And I'm like, okay, yep, I should try that. Or, not the same, but we'll make it a little different and we'll do this and we'll do that and whatever. And it's like, holy cow. At some point, you just have to go, all right, what?
There's nothing
What is
wrong.
that? Jack of all trades, master of none, right? Like,
exactly.
Let's pick something that we're good at, right? And let's, like you said, stick to it and try to make that work versus, just constantly all over the place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even if you were to see something online you like, if you were a bit motivated, be like, that's a cool video, I want to do my own, and you do one
Yeah.
that's fun and easy, other than
Sure.
putting all this stress on yourself, like, oh no, this is the new fad, I have to think of something, and it's kind of like, it stresses you out.
It does,
But if you
right.
saw like, just some silly video, like, I want to make one of those, and you went and did it, and you
Yeah.
had fun doing it,
Yeah.
that's going to slam. If you put the stress on it to be like, I need to somehow get my fad out because this is the new thing, I got to get in with everyone else, it's taking away what it was designed for, which was the expression of people, to show everyone how cool people are, and it's gotten so industrialized that we think we have to hang with them, when really, we don't.
Yeah.
We really don't.
No, that's so true. And you're right. Like, let's face it. We're not going to compete with Nike or, Amazon or any. There's just not going to happen. It's not.
But the
going
problem, we
to
can
happen.
compete if we get away from trying to match them and go back to what we have, and that's the human
Right.
factor. We're still people. We
human
can still
factor, absolutely.
talk right to the camera. You can't have Nike talk face to face like a human to you because Nike's not a person. Nike's a corporation, and there's no one guy talking to you.
That's so true.
Now, when you have your business, you can talk directly to people and completely talk based on your company.
Right.
You're a one person to one person, and that's what's really important. Exactly.
It's
Hello.
so true. No, it is, and that's
Hi,
that's such a good
Internet.
point. Well, and you know what's funny though too is like we even talk about that just with the real estate industry in general, and like you said before, AI and all the different things. And there's been several companies over the years that are threatening, or there's always kind of like this looming cloud of like they're just going to change the whole real estate industry, and everybody's going to do everything online and whatever. And it's like ultimately, there will always be a little bit of that out there, but I think most people still want that human connection, right?
And let's be honest, no one's going to be able to go to the house that you guys are selling and go, why does it smell weird here
Right.
from the internet?
Exactly.
You can't go and
Exactly.
experience
Yes.
like
Yep.
buying cars, and there's a lot of places that do that online too, Carvana, whatever. It's like, yeah, that's cool and all, but
Right.
I'd rather go and wonder why it smells like an ashtray than buying a car and having it shipped to me and hoping to God
Right.
everything is exactly
Everything's
as
great,
the internet
yep.
promised it would be. So I do feel, I don't think there's
Yeah.
things like that will ever go away.
Yeah.
Sure, there might be little niches here and there where people are like,
Sure.
I've got $25 billion. Yes, I'll buy that mansion off the internet.
Right.
Us real
Right.
people who don't live in this fantasy
Exactly.
land, we want to go and put your hands on what we're buying.
Yep.
We don't just trust the internet.
And I find, and I'm sure you found this too, like this is something that I've always struggled with running my business is I want everybody to love me. Not because it's just I'm a people pleaser, and that's just who I've always been. And you really have to learn, I think, in any business that you're not going to be right for everybody.
Exactly.
No matter what, you're not ever going to be right for everybody, and that's okay.
Yep. And that was actually one of the hardest things I had to figure out too, because at the end of the day, someone's always going to hate you. You will never be liked by everybody. But would you rather be liked for who you are and what you stand for,
true.
and hated for who you are than what you stand for,
Yep.
than liked for putting on a facade and faking it to make people like you,
Such
and
a good
still
point.
being hated by people who don't like what you're faking
That's
to be?
such a good point. Because you
yourself,
know what,
and that's it.
the fake comes out too,
fake always
right? Like
comes out.
it's like okay,
Let's not pretend all this stuff going on the
Right.
internet with Mr. Beast, Dr. Disrespect, all this is like fake. Like people are falling apart because
Right.
all these people we've built up based on all we know them from the internet have real personalities and have real past.
Yeah.
And it's not always good.
right.
It's good to be able to know somebody based on who they are, not their facade.
Yeah.
Facades don't last. Facades always
Yeah,
fail.
I agree. I totally agree. That's awesome. So, what do you think are some of the ways that? We obviously don't need any help boosting our
course.
stuff because,
you guys
we have
clearly
like
got
a very, very, very big following.
Obviously, we're
yeah.
like
Obviously.
so
But
great.
But like,
gigantic.
what are some tips? What are some things for people that are, small businesses out there that are looking to kind of increase their following that they can do online that, don't cost them a ton of money or time?
First thing you can do is just breathe. Free. You're not going to get 97 likes and 100,000 comments on your first post.
Sure.
You get 3 likes, you get 3 likes. You
Sure.
know what that is? 3 more likes than you had earlier.
That's a good
If
point.
you're running a small business, you have to realize it takes time. It just
Sure
and
does.
some days hit harder than other days. Like if it's a sunny day, you're probably going to have less likes than a rainy day.
True.
There's a lot of factors.
Right.
It's just, and if it's summertime, we have less engagement than wintertime.
Yep.
We're all outside.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things, but what you can do is just be consistent and be real. Don't just post like if you sell stuff, don't just constantly for sale, buy.
Yes.
Post pics of what you guys are up to. Like you said, just authenticity. People like to follow authenticity. You guys are like having a work lunch or something, just do a little selfie like work lunch because everyone's like, oh, they're kind of cool there. They hang out, and then all of a
It's
sudden,
so true.
it's like I
agree
do
with
kind of
you.
like the vibe of these realtors. That's a vibe can change people's perspective of you real quick. It's like, oh, these guys are a little more chill, a little more laid back. These guys seem a little more stuck up and a little less fun. They're gonna lean based on that alone.
Right. No, and that is so true. That's such a good point because, yeah, we do a lot of, obviously, the just sold and congratulations to our latest seller, congratulations to our latest buyer. And that's all good stuff.
That's great
people,
stuff.
the people that are buying and selling appreciate that stuff.
That's fair though too, because people
But
do
the
like
rest of
to be seen.
us, the rest of people want to
Yeah.
see your fun everyday other things that are happening and going on. Like last week, we had a little perfection tournament out here. You know,
throwing a
We
couple
were-
stories up or just a picture really
Yeah.
quick about that. That's
Yeah.
cool stuff right there. Like people like to see what's going on behind the scenes. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
exactly.
And it's tough
Fun little
to
thing.
get a lot of that stuff because we've been like, we just had a lot of like work-related posts lately, so it's tough to like
But that happens
get
too.
that stuff in the middle there.
One
But I'm
thing I will
always-
say:
I'm
don't
always-
stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're in a vibe where you're posting a whole bunch of people bought houses, people love seeing themselves on the internet.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, and
Sure.
it's hyping somebody else up. It's not just for you. You're like, hey, we sold these guys a house. They're super stoked. That's
Yeah.
a great post because
Sure.
they're gonna share it. They're gonna be excited with their friends. That's a
Yeah.
great post to get out and get a lot of traction with. And there's nothing wrong with that. But oh my god, I totally got sidetracked to what I was about to say there. I'm
No,
so
just,
sorry.
You were saying don't stress about that.
That's it. Don't.
but-
If you're in a vibe, keep posting on that. Like I get in my head all the time. I have to be posting about. I have weddings available. It's like I don't have to. I'll get it out eventually. Right now, I'm in a little rut where I'm posting a bunch of pictures from the last event I shot.
Sure.
Get through that. Post what you're posting now, and then go back to what you want to post later. Don't
Sure.
feel like you have to be doing stuff because it's just another spiral you can go down and be like.
Right.
Then you start stressing yourself out about it because
Yeah.
I didn't get this. I need to get. Just having something online every couple days a week, post a story, post anything, is basically what a small business needs. You just got to have some type of internet footprint. If you go dark for 2 months and then make a post, that's not the best way to do it. But if you post a picture every couple
Consistency, right?
days,
Yeah.
even just being on people's minds, being in front of your audience will get you more
sure.
followers than not.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, don't stress. Just post and just know you're doing a good job because it is a lot. Like I'm sure your intern saw me sitting over there on my phone the whole time. I was just going through stuff that I was posting too because
Sure.
you can get bogged down and get on your phone for hours and hours and hours and we've talked about it. Business owners don't have time for that.
No.
Make a post, move on.
Yeah.
Simple.
That's a really good point. But I do completely agree with you in terms of, like focus on what you're doing. Don't force yourself into doing, because I'll be like that, like, oh, we've got to come up with something new and clever.
The social expectations are tough.
Don't always force yourself to do that. But at the same time, do try to post real world, funny stuff, because again, that's the kind of stuff that more people, I think, actually enjoy seeing and can relate to. And
It all falls back to authenticity.
Yeah.
It all falls back to that.
yeah, for sure.
People may not want to admit it or realize it, but that's what started the internet. We didn't start following those main couple channels, which I don't even know if you're old enough to know some of the few channels. Do you know the Numa
Evelyn,
Numa
our
guy?
intern.
Yeah.
Do you know the Numa guy?
Oh my gosh,
that guy alone,
yes.
he blew up because he was just himself. That video exploded. The chocolate rain. That guy, same. That's how the internet started. People just
funny?
Sunday.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah, exactly. People
What
just
will
started being
explode?
themselves.
Yeah.
That blew up, and then everything got so corporate that now it's
Yeah.
weird. Now it's weird.
Yeah.
Authenticity built the internet. Let's get that back. Or at least YouTube. YouTube
I
used to be
agree
fun.
with you. I agree with you. Take the authenticity back. No, that's so true. And that's why, like, when you first got here, too, I said, we're not real big on, like, we are going to ask you this question, and then we're going to ask you this, because I just like to have a natural conversation. I want to learn things. I hope other people appreciate the content. That, to me, means more than being so, like, just that's me.
Exactly. And
That's me.
I'm a rambler, so like
Some people want to be more buttoned up, and that's okay. but
Please
that's
provide a 30-second answer as to why.
it's like a debate.
like it's a
your time
pageant.
starts now.
Yeah. We're going to ask you about what your thoughts are on world peace.
I think peace would be great if we could have it.
Wouldn't it? And you'd like to give everyone a puppy dog.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So let's get back to your business a little bit. Thank you for the tips. What do you think have been some of your struggles, and then what do you think have been some of your pinnacles, exciting moments in your business?
The biggest struggle, self-doubt.
Sure.
The fact that once you take on the stress of everything, your bills, your insurance, your health care, your taxes on yourself, it's a little bit intimidating.
Terrifying.
And you can get in your head a lot. Like I'm a person that has a lot of, I get in my head a lot. I can overthink
Me
stuff
too.
really quick. But I'm lucky enough to have a wife that's very supportive. Like she's 100% behind everything I do. She's never one to, she's always like, do it.
That's awesome.
Don't- unless it's something that, important stuff. Or
Shout out to Landon's
Yeah,
wife.
thanks, Brooke. You're the best. Love
Way
you.
to go,
dude.
Brooke.
Woo, Brooke. But yeah, she's been fantastic. And the fact that if you just commit and committing and putting the effort and seeing it slowly start making sense and not getting cold feet.
Sure.
It's so easy to be like, oh, it didn't work. This failed. I need to quit.
Right.
I've had so many things fall through. I've tried to put classes together. I've tried to put events together, Christmas photo shoots, and no one shows up. It sucks sometimes. But at the end of the day, you just got to remember, we tried, we failed, on to the next thing.
It's such a good point. We've been there too. We've had, we do events, we host different things, and it's always sort of like when you're like a kid and it's your birthday, it's like, is everyone going to come?
Yeah,
is no
we
one
did
gonna
have that
show
one. We had like a buyer info
We had like a buyer
meeting or
info
something.
night a couple years ago.
Like
one person came.
a meeting room at like a hotel kind of deal.
Hey, you know what? That's a
Yeah.
success. You had 100% more people show up than the last one.
But you know what's funny? But you know what's interesting? I actually did one probably, 6 months before that, and the room was packed. So I think it's just a lot of it is just timing, and it's, there's so many different factors, right?
When you're running your own stuff, sometimes dumb luck alone is all it takes.
100%.
Dumb luck is it's almost like the real lottery is when you start your own business and things work out.
Yeah.
I hit the lottery. I didn't screw this one up.
Right?
Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, all right. But yeah, it's so much trial and error,
yeah.
right?
It really
Anybody
is.
that says like they've got it all figured out, I don't believe it because it's a lot of trial and error.
And it never stops because you got things figured out this year. In 2 years, the whole industry changes, and now you got to relearn what you already just figured out.
Well, that's even
know.
like we have in our industry like metrics on like what's the best time of the week to call people to actually get them to answer the phone.
Yep.
Like
And now you're trying to fight all the people,
Don't worry,
scamming
everyone.
people. So it's
Yeah.
like, how am I supposed to cold call someone when
Don't worry.
everyone's a scammer to
We're
everybody
spending
Yeah.
hours a day researching the best time to call you.
else? Wow.
No, but yeah, it's a constant learning experience,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yep.
So what have been some of the highlights for you?
The highlights, it's almost hard to tell because so right now I'm a media ambassador at Road America,
Okay.
which is incredible. I get
Sure.
to go shoot all the races at Road America.
Yeah.
And just for the record, everyone I apologize, I'm a photographer. We use the phrase shoot for everything. So please just let me
We are
have this one, okay?
Shooting pictures.
Yeah,
Shooting
it's phrasing in the industry, so I
Yeah.
apologize if you don't like the phrasing, but we say shoot for everything, so I'm sorry. But no, going to be able to photograph like the stuff at Road America.
Yeah.
I did Grid Life a couple weeks ago, which was insane. It was a gigantic drift event there. They brought T-Pain in, which was really cool. I met T-Pain, which was really
Wow.
sweet. Yeah, he was super chill guy. He was just hanging out there,
obviously
which
not
is
as
pretty
cool as today, but
I
like,
get to hang with Kelly Davies. Oh my god! But yeah, we did that. And
That's awesome.
At the event, it was funny. For anybody who knows who Deadmau5 is or is in the EDM world, we gave him the most Wisconsin experience ever. We were done shooting for the day. Me and my boss were going to try to find where they had a drink cooler for everyone. And we walk into where they said it was, and we're like, "Hey, do you guys know where the beer cooler is?" Deadmau5 and the rest of the acts were getting ready in there.
Yeah.
So we just walk in and we're just like,
Right.
as security walks up, just like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" We're like, "Yeah, we're just trying to find the beer cooler. You know where it is?" Not even aware that there's all these big famous, EDM
Yeah.
people. We don't care about
Right.
that. We just want the
We
beer.
want
Where's
the
the
beer.
free beer cooler guy? That's all
Yeah.
we want to know, bud.
Right.
But I was like, man, that had to be the most Wisconsin
That's
experience. We
awesome.
didn't even care that he was in there. But we ended up walking out and I looked at my boss. I was like, was that Deadmau5? He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, sweet.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah. But I
Fun
got to that.
fact,
I love
Deadmau5
that.
actually wrote some of the music for Minecraft.
Did he really?
Ooh.
That's cool. I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
That's interesting. Well, my kid would especially love that. My 12-year-old, he loves all that kind of stuff. That is really funny though, and that is so Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
That is totally something that we would do. It's like I got a one-track mind.
Yeah. The
gotta
day
find the beer
work's
cooler.
over. We want to relax.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that.
But I was being able to shoot some of the races there is pretty insane. Like
Yeah.
they did a flyover last week, which was really cool to get.
That's cool.
When you get to the level of shooting that I'm not even this is not a brag, humble brag if at worst, but when you get to the level of shooting you're at that I'm at right now, I'm kind of like almost flabbergasted that who in their right mind decided to trust me with this level of
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah.
But then you got to realize I've put in the work.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things too of being a business owner is realizing, okay, I can do this. I'm not screwing up. Things are working out, and again, that's another mental block a lot of people have to get through is am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? Yes. The people that don't are the ones that never pull the trigger. Like, taking one step in the direction of running your own thing is more than 90% of people do. Everyone can run their mouth.
Sure.
Not many people actually go and take
Yeah.
the first step to try to do their own thing. So if you do that right there is the coolest thing you can possibly do, no matter what career you're doing. Like my photography, I get to shoot some cool stuff, but the fact that I actually took the initiative to do it. None of this would have
Absolutely.
happened.
For
None of this
sure.
would have happened if I
Right.
didn't do it or stuck with it.
Yeah.
Same for you. Because you said you were doing this under somebody else's name. And then you're like, you know what? I can do this. So
Yeah.
you took the initiative to go and start your own, and here you are. A few years later with, you said it was 4 employees?
I have 4 employees now.
That's
Cracking the whip every day at them. No,
You went from how am I going to pay my bills to, okay, I got to pay these 4 people's bills on
100%.
top of it, which is, that's
it's
a lot
so
of stress.
wonderful. It's not stressful at all.
Yeah, I mean, totally lame. Yeah. But right there.
Yeah,
But
don't
it
worry
also
about that.
keeps me very motivated, you know, and that's
Exactly.
the thing. It's like, I think especially when you are your own thing, your clients become kind of your boss, right?
Yep.
Yes.
But that being said, there's also some level of like flexibility in terms of, you know, I'm just not feeling it today, right? And well, I don't personally have that. I don't have that option, but I
True.
know that there's a lot of people, and it's easy to get into that. I can see where that can happen very easily. Of like, you know what? I just don't feel it today, and it's not like the 9 to 5 where you have to be there and you have to punch the clock, or you're fired, right? Maybe you call a couple clients and you change a couple appointments around, right? But I don't do that because I don't have that. I have to come here. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. But I also know that, like, yeah, I have people relying on me.
That's,
you know?
that right there is probably one of the hardest things. And I've not necessarily gotten caught up in that, but I have noticed how quickly you can go from, I do my own thing, I can take whatever day off I want, to now all of a sudden you're not working anymore because
Yeah.
you just take days off. It's like,
Yeah.
where's my money? It's
Right.
like, you didn't work it all.
Yeah.
Then
Well,
you realize you're the only one to be responsible for it. So that is definitely
Yeah.
a mindset to not
for
fall
sure.
into.
And I'm sure you see this too. I always say this to the agents on my team. I feel like no matter what profession you do, though, right? The amount of work you put in and the amount of work you get out are going to be there's going to be a very direct correlation there.
Yep.
It's a math equation.
And that's where my personal issue with modern working. I hate the idea of you go to 9 to 5, you just have to be there. It's like
Yes.
there's no work to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to just sweep the floors for
Right.
6 hours. Like,
Yep.
let me go home and be productive in my life. Like,
100%.
I'll take the pay cut.
Right?
Or like, I didn't
Yeah.
work for 4 hours. I don't want to be here.
Right.
Don't make me like get a point or whatever against my attendance
Exactly.
because I don't want to just waste my time. here.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
when you run your own business, you have that opportunity.
Yep.
It's like, okay, my work's done for the day.
Yep.
I've worked the last 14 days in a row.
Right.
I'm taking an early Wednesday.
Exactly.
You just go out and you
That is the nice part.
I'll have that where I'll work 10 days and I spend a Monday, Tuesday
Yep.
home with the kids and family. Just
Right.
Yeah.
You
hanging
can
out.
work any 80 hours a week that you want.
Yep. But at the end of the day,
Then you get your
but
your
at the
little
end of the day,
breaks.
you
Yeah.
you chose the work. You
And
signed up for it.
That's so
you
much
got the
more
job
fun.
done.
That's so much more exciting, right?
exactly.
I
Yeah.
completely agree with you on that. In fact, I was literally just having that conversation with my husband the other day about, like, you know, not that I would ever do this. Don't worry, world. This won't happen. But going back to a 9 to 5. I would do it if I had to. If like the world just came to a screeching halt and I had to go back to a 9 to 5 for some reason, I would. I mean, I'd rather do that than my family not live.
I mean,
right? We're
weigh
not going to
the
be
odds.
right. We're not going to be like in a cardboard box, hopefully. But that being said, that's the only way I would ever want to do it. I came from the corporate world. I have a business degree. I have all the things, but I mean, like you were saying too, I had this boss, shout out to her. She was really great. Her name's Nancy. Hi, Nancy. She won't listen to this. She lives in Chicago. But anyways, I was living in Chicago at the time. And it was the type of job where, it was very 9 to 5 and it was very like, I was a property manager. So I was in property management for this commercial real estate company. And one of my jobs was to take tenants in the building because it's commercial, so they're like attorneys' offices and,
sure.
things like that, out for lunch. That was part of my job. But then I would come back from lunch, say maybe an hour and 15 minutes in instead of an hour. And she'd be like, you were gone a little bit long there. And I'm like, ma'am, I was not just like having my own fun.
You're doing your job.
Yeah, I was doing my job. So stuff like that about the work, like you were just saying too, it's like everything is so rigid and you have to be there from this time to this time, even if there's nothing going on and all this stuff. I was literally telling that to my husband. I would much rather work a bunch of hours and
have it make a difference.
Right, and have it make a difference and be something that I actually love and am passionate about than just punch a clock, so that I can punch a clock and then I can punch out at a certain time. And I know there's people that love that, and we need those people.
Well, there's nothing wrong with loving it. Like, everyone's got their own.
Everybody has their own
drive.
thing.
Yeah.
For me, and I think most entrepreneurs, right, we just are like, I don't want to do that if I don't have to. I don't want to ask somebody to go to the dentist. This morning I went to the dentist.
Yeah.
I didn't have to ask anybody.
And
you know?
it's turned into such an ordeal and being in the factory work and stuff. I've been like, they will guilt you. It's like, hey, you have 2 weeks off a year. Hey, can I take this off? Oh man,
Yeah.
we were gonna be really short staffed
Yeah.
that week. Are you sure you can't
Yeah.
move it? It's like, I'm
Thanks.
sorry. I can't change when my kids are getting married, bud.
Right.
Let me take the day off. You promised this to me. Why are you fighting me on
Yeah.
that type of attitude? Always bothered me there.
Agree.
Oh, yeah.
I totally agree with you. Yep. And I try to be a good boss to those that right, Nick?
There is a balance. Like people,
Nick?
Cricket.
You know, it's tough, but you try to think about the people that, you know, when you were the employee, and it's like, let's, you know, give people some grace. And
Oh, yeah.
I always tell anybody that's here, like, I'm not a big clock watcher. I mean, yes, there's times to come in and there's overall times to leave and things like that, but I'm not like, oh boy, it is a 9:03 and where are you, right? Because it's like, as long as we're all doing our work and getting our job done and our clients are happy, right?
And
If
at
our
the end of the
clients
day,
are happy,
if the clients are happy, and as long as no one's taking advantage of the generosity, that
Right.
there is also
Agreed.
That's what ruins it.
there's a
Like,
fine line.
You're in a good spot where you
Yep.
only have 4 employees, so
Yeah.
you can pretty much keep everyone
I
on.
can keep everybody
keep
in
everyone
line.
in line. Exactly. But
Absolutely.
I get it when you run a place where they have 300 people.
Yeah.
Someone's
You
going
gotta
to
be a little bit more. Yep.
It's always a bummer, but that's why.
There's
I've
always one in the bunch.
well, look for a small
Ruin it
business
for
to
the
work
rest.
for. Look for a small business because those places are normally a lot more down to earth than.
It's true.
And I got lucky. I did some bosses. Shout out Chase Larson, my guy.
Chase
So
Larson,
when we
hello.
were, he was my boss when we were working. I was working the digital job. He's the one that
Okay.
hired me.
Sure.
When we got canned, we all got canned, along with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt terrible. That dude is, if I were to describe him, leader.
Yeah.
He never has been a boss. Like when I worked for him, we had our newborn. We had a lot of issues. My newest ended up in the NICU for like 3 months.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
instead of him being like tough, get to work.
Yeah.
He worked it out. He fought against the company to let me take half. Basically, I got paid half day to work from home,
That's awesome.
so I could still work and make money, but I had to be home to help out with everything. And instead of him just being like, tough.
Yeah.
He did nothing but help out when it was fair. Like
That's
he'd call me
awesome.
out of my crap if I was ever being a lit over the top, and I respected that. But he was never one to be a boss. He was always a leader and always worked for his people.
Sure.
So the coolest thing here, Road America, he is their head of marketing.
Okay.
And what he did was he always told us, guys, because we had a very cool department. Everyone worked so good together. We had such a tight team there. Because if I ever get a chance, we're all going to work together again. And no, 6 months, was it a year later, we all
Yeah.
got a text. Hey, boys, you're all hired by Road America.
That's awesome.
So
That's so
the thing is,
cool.
though, he never would have picked us up if we weren't good at our jobs. He never would have brought us all back if we weren't
Yep.
good at what we did. So
Yeah.
we had to hold up our end.
Yeah.
But that dude is one of the coolest people I've ever met, and I would always, whatever he
love
needed
that.
for work or anything, I'd always be there for him.
I
That's
love
where it
that.
goes from you have a job to you have people who would do anything to help each other succeed. Right there is one of the coolest. And I that's one thing I was glad to take away from that place was 4 of the coolest people I ever met.
Sure.
Wait, 3. I was the 4th one. 3 of the coolest people I've ever met.
Well, including you. 4.
Yeah. But it was cool to have such a tight
Yeah.
group at work, and then have a tight group that wanted to help each
Yeah.
other outside of work and keep moving in
Roll
their
up your
careers.
sleeves and help out and pitch in when needed.
If
and,
anyone, he was the person that could see potential in someone and help them grow.
Yeah.
Because he knows what he's about. He does incredible work. That guy
Sure.
is one of the hardest workers I've ever met. But he can see someone's potential and absolutely help you succeed. So
That's
Chase,
so
you rock.
cool.
And yeah,
Good job, Chase.
a lot of
Way to
times,
go.
and I'll even
We
say
need
this,
good people like that, though. Like I said, just like I've had negative experiences with bosses, I've also had great bosses or team leaders in the past that I'm like, those are the people that inspire you to really be like, you know, okay, this is how I want to be.
Exactly. Because you can see somebody like, that guy got it figured out and he's succeeding. I want to head that way. I like
Yeah.
his vibe. He's not just, corporate Jeff who does corporate Jeff stuff, and he can pretty much pick apart his whole life because he's corporate Jeff.
Right.
But this guy,
Yep.
so networking without even realizing it is one of the coolest things. Like I never knew I was going to get that call.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And then it came. You're like, holy smokes! Just because you talk to the right person and accidental networking is the best. Because you always go to those networking meetings as a entrepreneur and be like, hey, we're all totally here to just get money from each other. You're my new best friend. When really you know what you're all there
Yeah.
for. But when you just talk to someone, all of a sudden it's like a year later you get a call from them and it's like, cool, you like me that much? Let's do it again. And then all of a sudden,
Right.
it keeps building and
Just
growing
builds.
off that.
Yep.
It's one of the coolest feelings of being a business owner.
Yeah.
Is the networking that's authentic
Mm-hmm.
and real, and then it just slowly grows and grows, and you just keep going down new paths from there. It's very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it is hard because if you are an introvert and
Mm-hmm.
you cannot flip on an extrovert personality from time to time, even if it's for your business, it's very hard.
Very difficult.
very
I am actually, as I get older, I'm learning. I'm much more introverted than I thought I was
Same.
when I was younger, and I need a lot of I need more and more recovery time. It's just from peopling, and I love people. I honestly do. It's not that I don't. I think there's some people that really don't enjoy being around a lot of other people or having conversations with that. I like it. It's just that I also then need a break, right? I can't just
100%,
do it all the time.
That's what I call it, the switch. Because
Yes.
you're naturally introverted, as am
Yeah.
I. I like my alone time. Like when I edit, I'm down in my cave in the
Yeah.
basement, lights off.
Yep.
Like not that bad, but I like my
Yeah.
me time. But
Right.
you can also flip the switch when you want to go and
Yes.
just chat with people. You can be super out,
Yes.
extroverted and chatty.
Yep.
But you can't do it forever.
No.
You got a time limit.
No,
Like after 4
heck
hours,
no.
we're out of here.
Hell no. In fact, that reminds me of, oh my gosh, one time when we were at Disney, we had a tour guide. The only reason why we did it is because it was the big year of COVID.
Oh, fair.
And so we weren't even going to go.
I actually know exactly what you're talking about because this is exactly what I was just thinking about.
You were? Okay,
Yes.
that's so funny. Weird.
No, I knew exactly where you were going with this.
Okay, I love
Great
this.
minds.
So, yeah, so we were usually we go in January. My husband's parents have a place, and we, go see them, which is great, and then go stay, on the Disney grounds and do the whole thing. So this particular year, it was like, oh, I don't know, because it was just like, are we just really walking our kids into the storm of COVID? That year it was pretty rough. So my husband was like, why don't we get a Disney tour guide for just one day? Just to take us around, and then that way we can skip all the lines and stuff, because that's the advantage to doing that, really, right? And it's really great. I mean, I had to sell about 10 more houses for it, but it was a cool one-time experience. But here's where I'm going with this. I was at the beginning of the day, I was like, I would love to do this job. I would love to be a Disney tour guide and just take people around Disney World all day. And then as the day went on, this girl, bless her heart, she was with us for 9 or 10 hours, and so nice. And, she actually said, because there was a couple times throughout the day, I try to be very cognizant of if my kids are acting up a little bit, or, I don't want to be the annoying family. And she's like, Kelly, you guys are fine. She's like, I could tell you stories for days, because they have to. One cool thing I learned, they have to take any celebrity that comes to the parks. They cannot go through the parks unaccompanied.
Oh, really?
Because they're concerned about just crowding and safety and things like that, right? So I'm sure they get a lot of big personalities and things like that. But just doing that, for being on like that for 10, 12 hours a day,
No way.
no, thank you.
It's a lot of having to.
That is too much for me.
Yeah.
So, certain people can do it, but that's not me. I go out, I show a house, or I do a market analysis with somebody, and I love it. But then I get back in my car, and it's like, now I'm going to relax for a moment.
We're game time extroverts.
Yes.
When it's time to
Game
shine, we
time.
go and make it happen. We deliver.
Exactly. Right.
But when the game's over, when the buzzer clicks,
That's it. That's
time
it.
to go take a break. Exactly.
100%. And that's why God made reality TV. So, okay, what is a work week? A typical, obviously your work weeks are different because
Yeah.
again, you own your own business and you're doing different things, but what does it typically look like? Cuz that always interests me, because I feel like we get an idea. Do you remember the time, Nick, that shout out to our mom? By the way, we're related. Shout out to our mom. Mom, bless your heart, Mom. We love you. A couple of years ago, she goes, don't you guys just go show houses and then write an offer and then you're done? And I was like, oh.
And then we just sit there waiting for the phone to ring
yeah.
for 7
I'm
hours.
like, oh, Mom, that's so cute. There's 100,000 things that go on in any job, right? That a lot of people don't see. So what does a work week look like for you?
It really depends on what's going on that week. If I have the simplest work week,
Yeah.
I go work 2 or 3 days out taking care of my car dealerships, and I'm
Sure.
done.
Okay.
That's my whole week right there.
Okay.
Does that ever happen? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But so it could be that. I could be having Normally, I have 2 to 3 days I have to shoot car dealerships. That's my
You
constant.
kind of do that every week.
That's my quote unquote day job.
Sure.
The one that's always there.
Sure.
It's always coming.
Yeah.
On top of that, I have a bunch of scheduled out stuff for the year. So if it's a Road America weekend, I'm slamming Monday through sometimes Wednesday just to get everything in so I can start shooting Thursday through Sunday down at the track.
Sure.
If I have a week where I'm on a trip running a fishing tournament,
Okay.
I try to slam everything in the day and a half, or, talk to the dealership, make sure everything's good, and then I'm down there for the week.
Sure.
A lot of times when I'm on those trips, I'll be able to get some back-end stuff done because I'll
Okay.
do my computer and everything. So I'll edit videos, edit photos,
Sure.
that kind of stuff. And a lot of time I'll slide those in.
Yeah.
But normally if I have a scheduled gig where I have photos I have to go take, I'll have the next day or two open to edit them.
Okay.
And this is one of my fun things. When I shoot a wedding, guaranteed return within 3
I was
weeks.
just going to ask
3
you
weeks,
that.
you'll have all your photos back.
That's
edited, done.
amazing.
Yep. And I'll
Props to you because, oh my
who
gosh.
needs to wait 6 months for
There's
those guys.
so much.
I personally hate the wedding photography industry. I think
waiting.
most of them are scammers. The backdoor photographer, I'm sorry, back end photographers are the worst. Hey, you want a photo shoot? It's going to cost you $600. Oh, would you like more than 20 digitals? That's going to cost you another $700. And if you don't pay for it, you don't get them. But if you buy $400 worth of prints, we'll give you the digitals for free.
Do you want the
Yeah.
rights to look
No,
at
no,
the
no.
photos?
Yeah, I've had a friend who had that happen to him. He went out, did the photo shoot, couldn't afford any of them, got none of his photos.
Oh.
I'm like, dude, that's awful.
Yeah.
So every one of my shoots, the cost is up front. You
Okay.
get your prints, you get your release. You
Sure.
can I don't care where you print them off. You paid me to come take your pictures,
Sure.
not then hold you ransom to get them. It's it's a one deal. Whatever whatever you
that.
charge, it's done. You get all
Okay,
your
so
photos back
like
in
your
3 weeks.
pricing is just up front.
Yeah.
Do you have like different packages?
Half day, full day.
Okay. Okay.
And all of them come with an engagement shoot if
Sure.
you want it. If you don't, that's fine.
Okay.
Because like some people have other photographers they want to use. But
Sure.
I'll be like, it's simple. Do you want me your whole day? This is the cost.
Yeah.
Then we can adjust. When do you want me there? How long do you
Yeah.
want me to stay? I don't mind. They're all adjustable. Like
Yeah.
no one's day is the same. Everyone's
Yeah.
wedding's different.
Right.
And if you don't want me the whole day,
Yeah.
the other one goes all the way through the ceremony, through the family photos and the nice photos after.
Yeah.
Then I don't do the reception or the
Sure.
getting ready on those
Okay.
days. But those are the two packages I have.
That's
And if
Very
anybody wants
fair,
something
I
different, like,
think.
hey, we're just doing a courthouse wedding, we
Sure.
can talk. Like,
right.
I don't feel like I just have to have one setup and then that's it. We do simple, adjust as needed.
But I think it's great that you're transparent with your
Simplicity,
pricing
man.
and just simple. Yes.
Or when you have to go buy photos, we have to go through 90 different packages. Just buy what you want. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to like, oh, I want this package, but unfortunately it's an extra $90 because I have to get a canvas. It's like,
Right?
just get the ones you want. It doesn't have to cost an
Yes.
arm and a leg.
Oh my gosh, my daughter's dance pictures are that way every year. It's like, do you want package A, B, C, D, E, F, or G?
Or
And
do
it's
you
like,
not care about the dance team?
or do you hate
Yeah,
your
or-
child?
exactly.
Right? And it's like, oh my God, by the time I get like it's like, oh, I might want this one and then I want this one. But in order to get those two, I've got to buy all these other ones. And so now I literally just spent my whole week of pay on these pictures.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm a practice what I preach kind of guy. I'd never
Yeah.
say be authentic, be blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden go, now if you want to buy all of my work, go ahead, go to my website for 10,000. No,
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
But it's the same. Like I like,
Sure.
and one of the things are like when people buy my photos, you get the print release. I don't care where you take them, print
That's
them off
nice.
wherever you want because. I'm sorry, if you're that hard set that your entire photography business is based around the after the fact sales, why would you do that to yourself and your clients? If
Sure.
you just charge them what you need up front and everyone's done, then there's no ripples later. There's no, wait a minute, I didn't read this or, I didn't catch that. And then all of a sudden, you're possible, you just did a wedding photography. I would like the chance to have a family then to do newborn photos, family photos for the next few years. Like
Sure.
any smart-minded photographer who shoots weddings should realize you have a possibility for a
Lots
lifetime
of
client.
return business there. Absolutely.
And if you're going to sell yourself based on your personality, why would you want to shoot yourself in the foot by making it about money?
100%.
Like, don't get me wrong. This is the business. That's part of the
Absolutely.
game. But at
Right.
the same time, you can be fair.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Absolutely. We all deserve to get paid. Nobody needs to work for free. Us as realtors, we're very big proponents of not working for free.
Exactly.
But, I mean, yeah, there's also a fairness aspect to it, right? Nobody needs to get gouged.
And
yeah.
I know in a world where like everyone's a photographer, like it's part of the game. But the hard part is everyone can get into it. It's the ones that stick around.
Sure.
So when you're like, hey, I need someone to shoot my wedding. Oh, my cousin just bought a camera. She can do it. That's totally cool. Because one thing I'll always tell everyone for photographers, vet them. Not every photographer is the same. One of the jobs that I have that I know I can't be too cocky here, but I don't have to be too worried about losing, is that I had somebody go cover for me once because I had double booked.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends that's a photographer, does great work. He did a great job, but when I got done, they came up to me and said, "Hey, we'd like you to be the one to do it from now on because you're really good with our members."
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, you flip the switch on, it's business
Yep.
time. You do your
Yep.
thing,
Mm-hmm.
He, on the other hand, was more of a sit back, kind of fly on the wall, float around.
Sure.
And they appreciated the constant,
Yep.
being nice to everyone, being involved, not being that
Exactly.
weird. Not that it's weird, but everyone's
No,
got
I know
their
what
own
you
vibe,
mean.
So
Yeah, everybody does.
hearing that
Yep.
made me confident, knowing, okay, so people do like the going out and being not necessarily loud, but involved photographer.
They do.
So that's why I've even made a video about it. Every photographer is different. Personality, vibe-wise, every photographer shoots differently. Some people like to be super tight, super wide. Look at their work. Look at how they are. Meet them. That's why
Right.
before I shoot with any wedding client, I always like to meet them. Because if I don't like you, I won't shoot with you because it's not fair for you to get
That's a really good
30,
point.
40% what I can deliver. And it's not fair to me to get your attitude.
Right.
Like, not
right.
that it's a shot at anybody, but it's a fact. I get to choose who I work with.
Sure.
So do you.
That's a really good
I would
point.
never be offended if someone says, "You know what? I'm sorry. I just don't think you're right for me." I'll be like, "I totally respect that, and thank you for telling me,"
Yeah.
because I wouldn't want to come into this feeling like, "All right, they're ready. They love what I do," and then they're like, "We actually wanted this other guy who does it completely different,
Right.
but you're who was available."
Yeah.
And you're like,
You're like,
not so excited anymore. I got to
Thanks.
really overthink this.
yeah. You're right. Yeah. Now I'm really going to go down the rabbit hole of that. Yes.
That's why it goes both ways. Just because you're a photographer, don't take every job. Know who you work with, and if you're hiring a photographer, make sure you meet him because photos and the person are not necessarily.
Sure.
They don't speak
It's
for each
so
other.
true. I love that. And again, it goes right back to the beginning of our conversation. We said we're never going to be, no business is ever going to be for everyone.
Exactly.
There's always going to be, different things for different people and different strokes for different folks.
It's always been
right.
like
Yeah.
this. You
What
can't
you
win
talking
everything.
about, Willis?
Oh, Charles, I see why you're in charge.
We could just do like a little comedy show,
Oh my God.
So anything else really exciting and fun that you want to tell us about the biz?
I mean, I won't lie. Everything's exciting and fun. None
Like it
of
all?
my weeks are the same. I'm always
Yeah.
going different places, seeing new things,
Sure.
taking pictures of stuff I never thought I'd get in front of. It's the
You
dream,
love that?
honestly. Like,
That's
I
awesome.
bust my butt. I
Yeah.
work myself to the bone, but I wouldn't change it for anything. Because at the end of the day, no offense to clock punchers,
Right.
when I go to sleep, I'm super satisfied with the work I did. I'm happy with what I delivered.
Right.
I'm proud of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's just a level of self-fulfillment you can't get
Yeah.
when you're padding somebody else's bank account.
I totally agree with you and love it. I
know
love
it's
it.
a little aggressive phrasing right there, but
No, it's
it is what it is. Hey,
so true.
Believe it or not, and I'm sure you know, being a business owner, you will never make more than the person you work for. So just know that.
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah, Nick. But no. If you're someone who's
I'm
trying
just
to go
kidding.
places and you're like, I'm
Right.
going to work my way up through this company, I'm going to be the best. It's like, I hope to God you're ready to be pretty good your whole life because you will get high and I'm sure you'll make a lot of money. But there's a cap. And that's
There
at what they're
is.
willing to give you.
I agree with
When
you
you
on
go
that.
out, you can technically do and make as much as you want. You can work as hard as you want. I aim my life to experience the world and have fun. I'm not trying to make $10 million. I'm trying to make enough money so I don't have to check my bank account before I go through McDonald's.
Agreed.
If I can make that much money, I'm a very happy man. If I can swing through Mickey D's for the kids on the way home without going, yeah, we can tonight.
Do you know what my level is
That's it.
of I'm okay is because I literally had to do this when I was in my late teens, early 20s. If I don't have to bring my calculator to Aldi's.
Yeah, honestly,
There were times that I was like, oh,
in the world now
Lord.
you kind of have to. again.
because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to be able to pay for all these groceries. And I was always like mortified if I would get up there and I didn't have enough money for the groceries.
'Cause you didn't want to
know?
be that guy. Everyone's
Yeah.
seen that happen. You're like, you just never want to end up in that
Yes.
position, but it
Yeah.
happens faster than you think.
It
if you
does.
don't
It
really,
really, really does. But
Yeah.
that's what I love too is like talking to people like you, people like us that humble beginnings,
And sometimes you just need that refresher. Like you have one of those moments where you're like, am I still growing? Are we still?
Yeah.
And then you have someone go like, okay, everyone has their ups and downs. I just need to hear it from a whole new person.
for
Yeah.
sure.
That just kind of helps keep the motivation going. So
Absolutely.
I'm very happy you do this podcast
Oh,
because
thank you.
we live in a very competitive world
Uh-huh.
where realtors,
Yeah.
all the photographers all over the place.
Yeah.
You feel like you have to compete. You don't, because there's enough for everyone. And really, at the end of the day, Like, you don't have to stress yourself out.
I agree with you on that. There's enough fish in the sea. There really is. And if you do good business, like you said, if you're a good person and you do good business and things, it's all gonna work out.
Yeah, and you don't need every job. Like we
Right.
just said, you just need we just want to have enough money to happily exist and not have to stress about necessities. That's not a hard goal to achieve if you put the pedal down. You
Agreed.
realize how much you don't need. Like I go out there and try to put in a bid for every wedding I can get my hands
Sure.
on. If I can get 15% of them, that's all I need.
That's great. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
once you realize, okay, this is the reality of running a business and what I need and what it needs and everything. Like,
Yep.
my biggest expense is knowing I'm gonna have to buy another camera in a couple months. We're talking $6,000.
Sure.
The gear is my biggest, the
Yeah.
hardest part because photography gear is not cheap. You want to do a good job, you got to buy the right gear. That's one of the things a lot of people don't understand when they hire a photographer. It's like, why am I paying you $350 for a family shoot? It's like my bag's worth $10,000.
Right.
And I have to put another 5 hours of effort into this after.
Exactly.
So it's like there's a lot more that goes into it, but
For
that's
sure.
my
Yeah.
personal like, okay, this is stuff I have to make sure I'm taking care of. Like, oh no, my computer's getting funny, or I have to buy another
Yeah.
hard drive because pictures are big.
Right. Oh yeah, for
So-
sure.
But once you
sure.
kind of gauge what your expenses are and what your life wants to be, then you can kind of like, okay, I don't have to get every family shoot. I don't have to get I don't need everything. I just need what I need, and I'm good. That right there to be able to get to the point that you've been working long enough to get a vision for what you need for the following year, that's success as far as I'm concerned. Once you get to the point that you're basically funding your whole life, you're happy with what you're doing, you're enjoying your work, and you can get a vision for what you need to get there every year.
Yeah.
I think that's when you've made it as a entrepreneur, because you're past the whole, boy golly, I hope I can make this happen, to okay, I need to
Right.
make this much happen.
Right.
It goes from can I
good
to I
point.
need to. That's a cool mindset.
I completely agree with you on that. And I think also, looking at it from the opposite end of that spectrum, I used to be